Hey, what's up, my little monkeys? It's Josh Thomas from TheBitBlock.com here to take you through our banana-scented video review for Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze on Wii U. So if you've played DKC Returns on Wii, Tropical Freeze will be very familiar to you. The gameplay really hasn't changed that much here. It's a traditional 2D platforming adventure with loads of clever design and really tight controls. This time around, Donkey Kong is accompanied by some of his fuzzy friends. Diddy Kong makes a return and uses his jetpack to temporarily hover in the air. Dixie Kong is finally back and she can use her ponytail as a helicopter to gain extra height when jumping. And finally, even though he's a little bit over the hill, he's making his very first playable appearance in the series. Cranky Kong can hop along on his cane and bounce on top of otherwise damaging hazards. Having 4 Kongs, each with their own slightly different ability, is pretty fun, and it keeps things, fresh. You'll still mainly play as Donkey Kong because, after all, he is the star of the game. The additional Kong characters will ride on his back and then give you access to their special ability. In the 2-player multiplayer, though, you can obviously play separately, but one player will always be Donkey Kong. The Kong Pow is a brand new move that you can perform by collecting a bunch of bananas. Basically, it just destroys all the enemies on screen and then turns them into an item. It's nothing really special, and frankly, most of the time, I honestly just forget to use it. In the previous title, you could blow on plants and propellers to find secrets. Here, however, you can pluck things from the ground. I find this kind of interesting, and it feels pretty rewarding to do. There's nothing like plucking an entire tree from the ground. I don't know, I guess I just really like plucking things. As you would expect, this game has a few intense minecart stages, along with nail-biting barrel rocket challenges, and even brand new underwater levels. It's actually surprising and kind of interesting how being able to jump into the water in levels totally changes up the feeling of a stage. The boss battles are pretty unique and also pretty challenging. They're much more clever than anything we've seen in a Super Mario title recently. Learning all their attacks is definitely key to victory here. Tropical Freeze has a few moments where the camera will slightly change its angle and give you a more dynamic view of the action. While it's kind of cool, I don't know, I kind of felt like it wasn't done nearly enough and it didn't really mix up the gameplay all that much. Tropical Freeze is a really nice looking game. There's certainly a very strong focus in the detail of the game's world design. Seriously, just replaying levels, you'll often find extra props, characters, and effects that you may have totally missed your first playthrough. And you may have heard me in the past complain about levels in games that just kind of felt generic and automatically generated. This game, however, is the exact opposite of that. Everything feels labored over, and every little tree, bush, character, and prop feels like it was manually placed to create a very organic, inviting world. Now, having said that, though, the visuals in Tropical Freeze aren't hugely improved from the previous Wii title. It's really more of a step up as opposed to being a giant leap forward. Naturally, being in HD alone makes this game look really great, but I really do think more advanced lighting and shadows and shaders could have gone a long way to making this game seem a bit more fancy. At the end of the day, though, this game looks really good. In fact, I would say it's one of the best looking platformers I've ever seen. And there's a great variety to level themes as well. The lustrous jungles that are filled with plant life, exploring the magical atmosphere of underwater caverns, escaping with your life in the blazing field fire, and much, much more. The level designs are all pretty good. And of course, I have to mention this. Donkey Kong and his friends are all actually furry. The fur shader effect in this game might possibly be the greatest fur I've ever seen in any video game. It even has physics applied to it, so when the monkeys move around, the fur moves with them. I don't know, that is an amazing level of detail. It's really fantastic, and frankly, it makes me want to snuggle up with Donkey Kong. But he probably smells pretty bad, so I won't do that. I'm sure many of you are aware of this, but Dave Wise, the composer for the original Donkey Kong Country titles on the Super Nintendo, has returned to compose the soundtrack in Tropical Freeze. And for the most part, this game has some pretty great music. I gotta say though, some of the tracks are a miss for me personally. There are a few that try to be atmospherical, but they just kind of come off as sounding too shy and afraid of doing anything interesting. I love atmospherical music, but some of the tracks come off more as unimportant ambient background noise. But don't worry, because when the music is good, it's really good. In fact, Tropical Freeze has some of my favorite music in the entire series. The track you're hearing right now is literally my all-time favorite bit of music from Donkey Kong Country. It's so happy, and it's like a tribal celebration, and I don't know, I love it. About 70% of the music is great, and there's a lot of brand new compositions here. But there are some tracks that I personally felt seemed oddly shy and a little bit phoned in. Alright, so this game has 6 worlds, which is actually a little bit less than the previous Wii game. Each level, however, is a bit longer and can take you an average of about 7 to 12 minutes to complete, which is pretty lengthy for a typical 2D platformer. Every level in the game challenges you to find and collect 4 Kong letters and all of the hidden puzzle pieces. Kong letters will unlock a special super hard bonus stage in every world, and completing all the puzzle pieces unlocks special artwork. You can also spend a good chunk of time in the time attack mode. You can even upload your high scores here to online leaderboards to see how you rank against the rest of the world. You can also collect toy figures and dioramas in this game. You'll get the figures by spending banana coins in Funky Kong's capsule machine. So, as far as replay value goes, you can unlock additional levels, collect figures, dioramas, music, and artwork. There's definitely a decent amount of unlockables in this game. Alright, so I'd like to wrap up this video by just blatantly telling you what I don't like about Tropical Freeze, and then what I do like about it. So one thing that really disappoints me here is the lack of focus on animal buddies. Riding on crazy animals has always been a big part of the series, but sadly, once again, Retro Studios hasn't put any focus on them. Rambi the Rhino is here, but he's only used in like 3 to 4 stages, and none of the gameplay with him is any different than it was on the Wii. Also, this game, much like most Wii U games, doesn't use the gamepad for anything interesting or unique. In fact, aside from playing off TV on the gamepad screen, there's literally nothing gamepad-like about this experience. The game's load times can be a little bit long for a 2D platformer. Also, the loading screen isn't even smooth, it's all choppy and hard to look at. Considering this game was delayed, these kind of issues really should not be popping up. But don't worry, because there is a lot to enjoy here. It's a very smart, engaging platformer. The levels are filled with nice details, I like all the new enemies, it offers up a good challenge like previous titles in the series, and I like the idea of having 4 Kongs to play with. Tropical Freeze is more of the same, and if that's totally okay with you, then you'll be really happy playing this game. TheBitBlock is rewarding Tropical Freeze with an 8.8 out of 10. Hey, thanks for watching this video from TheBitBlock. If you want to stay up to date on tons of exclusive Nintendo content, be sure to subscribe by clicking here. And if you don't want the fun to end, you can check out more Nintendo coverage by clicking over here.